Hello again, and welcome to our second Word from Stillwood on how to meet this time of uncertainty and anxiety with insight and calm and a focus on the positive energy that surrounds us all.
We hope that you have seen our earlier Word from Stillwood and found our website www.ravensbreadministries.com with the attached blog where you can contact us directly with your own questions, reflections, and concerns, which we can address in future videos.
Most, if not all of us, are wondering right now if things will ever get back to normal. Our answer is no. And we would add that normal is a very relative and transitory term. We cannot go back to what was. And what is ahead is still far from clear. So what have we got? Well, first off, it's not wrong to grieve for what we've lost. As a matter of fact, it's really necessary if we're ever to get past it. All sadness, whether it's for what was once and is no longer, or for what is now and is distressing, or even for what lies ahead, is not a psychological disorder. Despite what the diagnostic manuals used by mental health professionals may say about clinical depression, the reasons that you're feeling sad for 2 weeks in a row or more is because you're experiencing a serious loss. And that's a very normal human response. It's grieving. And it needs to be felt, not medicated.
Just leaving our house and having to put on a mask and gloves is an abrupt feeling of something's wrong. And we've all heard the debates about that. And although taking our physical safety seriously during this pandemic is overwhelmingly complicated, we must. We ask, like, how long can the virus live on a grocery shelf? A hand towel, a bag of potatoes, a blanket, or your own shirt? We have to admit how much we just don't know. But this cannot and must not keep us from absorbing, reflecting on, and expressing what we do know. What are our priorities? What are our values? Yes, what are they? What outcomes do we desire most at this time?
Of course, we're all agreed on many of the things that we don't want, like disconcerting spikes in the virus infection after a holiday or a family gathering, stresses and interruptions with our children's learning in school, prolonged furloughs and layoffs from work, even permanent loss of employment or eviction from our home. This list of losses could go on and on. But the deeper question is, what is to be gained in this moment? 25 years ago, when I withdrew from regular ministry as a priest, leaving everyone and everything that I was familiar with behind. My relationships, my work, my home. I became a stranger in a strange land. And Stillwood, now home, had become both my exile and my refuge. But the thing about exiles, both the banished and those who have voluntarily left their homes for foreign places, is the grace that they are given to see with different eyes. This is one of those moments for all of us. We're all exiles in our own land. We feel and act like strangers with one another. We're involuntary immigrants, navigating a strange new landscape. But this unfamiliarity, as uncomfortable as it may be, is in fact also a wondrous opportunity to look at everything again in a different way, to see afresh what we've always seen but perhaps never even recognized. In this new solitude, this new quiet, as we look upon our own inner landscape or that of our families, our communities, our country, what do we see? Is it chaos or is it possibility? Are we fearful or hope-filled? Is it just constraints we feel, or is it a new way to gain ground? In order to receive a gift, we must open our hands and our hearts. In order to walk into tomorrow, we have to let go of yesterday.
However, one of the more heart-rending results of this social distancing these days is not being with a loved one dying from COVID-19. Even if we know that a caring nurse may be holding the hand of our parent or spouse or dear friend when they are passing into the next world, we miss it terribly. I was most fortunate to be at the bedside of both my parents when they were dying. Holding my mother's fevered hand as her breaths grew shallow and further apart gave me the sense of walking with her to the door that she passed through, though I remained. When my daddy was overcome by that final stroke, I held his hand, watching as the color slowly moved down his face, down his neck, as he most gently slid away from this world to what I believed was a much better one. These are treasured memories and have removed all fear of death for me. And I am so sorry that COVID-19 has robbed millions of us of such precious, irreplaceable moments. We are also missing many family celebrations, which can never be revisited. A special birthday will not come again, nor can a sibling's wedding be experienced from a distance. When I was a nun in the Poor Clare Monastery, the hardest experience I endured was having to miss my own sister's wedding day. Second to that was missing my dear grandma's funeral. Funerals, sadly, are all too frequent these days, and attending the rites of a loved one via Zoom as we did just recently, is not the same as communicating our compassion to other grieving family members with a hug. Words just cannot take the place of touch, that so human gesture which expresses love as nothing else can. Something else that has gone missing in our present time is our vision of the future. Too much has changed. We cannot envision life going back to what we once knew, and we have only the haziest idea of what the new normal may be. In truth, we are mourning our dreams for the future. We feel profoundly disconnected to both the past and the future. Fundamental certainties are now threatened by job loss, shopping in partly stocked stores or online, and yes, unexpected deaths. How can we even imagine a future if indeed we are uncertain we will even have one? In our book, Consider the Ravens, we touched on this pain. Quote, not all of us really want to hear a prediction of looming catastrophe, preferring to remain cocooned in ignorance. Some want to believe the problem will go away if we but shoot the messenger. Now, isn't that just a temptation?
Everywhere we look for answers, all we find are more questions. And even the few answers we do find themselves lead to more questions. So we want to share with you now another bit of wisdom that we came across years ago from the 19th century German poet Rainer Maria Rilke. At the time, he was responding to an overwhelming number of anxious questions raised by a young poet, to whom he replied in a series of letters. Rilke wrote, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given, because you would not be able to live them." And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now, and perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer.
We feel so isolated and lonely, wondering with whom we can share our griefs, our questions, our anxieties. How can we wait patiently for that distant day Rilke proposes may happen? One of the first steps that will help us is simply to name all that distresses us. We suggest that this naming be done in writing, with pen and paper, on our computer or handheld device, whatever we feel is private and secure. Thus, we aren't recommending Facebook or LinkedIn. Most of us tend to keep our more embarrassing feelings pushed way down in our psyche. But these are the very things that we need to face if this exercise is to bring us to a greater state of tranquility and a sense that life is worth living. So let's give ourselves time alone to get better acquainted with our emotions. What pops up first? What is the very last feeling we drag out of the dark where its unnamed presence has been haunting us? Perhaps it is wondering, how long can we go on without a haircut? Or what will happen if our frail child gets infected?
That reminds me of another challenge that Rilke posed to this same young poet. He wrote, "I wish that you may find patience enough in yourself to endure, and simplicity enough to believe, that you may acquire more and more confidence in that which is difficult in your solitude among others. For the rest, let life happen to you. Believe me, life is right in any case."
What is Rilke telling us? Stop trying to control what is happening around us, to us, within us. We must learn to allow life to continue unfolding day by day, and to trust that it is love that is guiding all of it.
We'll say bye for now, inviting you to share some of your thoughts and experiences. Contact us via email if you want, pkfredette@frontier.com, or at the website blog, www.ravenspreadministries.com. Thanks for joining us today.
Blessings to all.
And
Let
let's
us
pray for one another.